My name is Nora Bennett. I'm 34 years old, and I work as a forensic accountant in Charlotte, North Carolina. 3 months ago, I found out my parents had transferred our family's wedding venue into a trust that named my younger sister as the only beneficiary. The same venue I had been quietly saving from foreclosure for almost 7 years. So I stopped paying the insurance, the property taxes, the business loan, and every emergency bill they had trained me to cover. 26 days later, my mother texted me at 6:12 inches the morning. No hello, no how are you, no apology, just, the insurance premium is due before Lydia's wedding weekend. Handle it today. I stared at that message while sitting in my office with a cup of coffee in my hand, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel panic. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel that old daughterly reflex to fix everything before my mother raised her voice. I simply typed back, "Ask the owner." Then I placed my phone face down on my desk and let the silence do what I had never been allowed to do. Before I tell you what happened next, brothers and sisters, let me know where you're watching from. And if you have ever been treated like family only when somebody needed money, you already understand exactly why I did what I did. My parents, Russell and Marlene Bennett, owned a place called Magnolia Creek Events, a white-columned wedding venue outside Charlotte with old oak trees, a renovated barn, a rose garden, and a lake that looked golden at sunset. Brides loved it. Photographers loved it. My mother loved standing on the front porch in pearls, telling people the property had been in our family for generations, even though my grandfather bought it in 1982 from a retired dentist and half the historic furniture came from estate sales. To the public, Magnolia Creek was our legacy. To me, it was a leaking roof, unpaid taxes, late vendor bills, bounced payroll, broken air conditioning, and my mother calling me every few months saying, "Nora, don't be selfish. This place is for all of us." Except it wasn't for all of us. My younger sister, Lydia, was 31, pretty in the kind of way that made strangers forgive her before she even lied, and permanently allergic to consequences. She had been engaged 3 times before she finally landed on Preston Hale, a real estate agent with shiny shoes, a fake laugh, and a habit of saying generational wealth, like he had invented the phrase. Lydia worked at the venue technically, but by worked, I mean she posted flower arrangements on Instagram and called herself creative director while the actual staff cleaned toilets after receptions. I was the boring daughter, the practical one, the one who knew how to read loan documents, insurance riders, vendor contracts, and tax notices. When I was 27, my father asked me to temporarily help with the venue's bookkeeping because he had gotten behind. Temporarily became permanently. Then the roof needed repairs. Then the insurance doubled. Then a bride threatened to sue after a pipe burst in the bridal suite. Then the county sent a notice about unpaid property taxes. Every time my parents called me, they never called Lydia. Lydia was sensitive. Lydia was creative. Lydia was under pressure. Lydia needed encouragement. I needed to stop acting like money mattered. For years, I told myself I was protecting my family. I told myself I was preserving something that would someday belong to both daughters. I told myself my parents would recognize everything I had done when the time came. Then the email arrived. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and I was reviewing expense reports for a corporate fraud case when my phone buzzed. The subject line read, "Bennett Family Trust Amendment Final Review." It came from my parents' estate attorney, a man named Paul Whitaker, who had known me since I had braces. I opened it casually, assuming it was related to something my parents wanted me to explain to them later. The attachment was a draft trust amendment. I read the first page, then the second, then I stopped breathing. Magnolia Creek Events, the farmhouse, the lakefront parcel, the equipment, the brand name, the operating accounts, everything was being transferred into the Lydia Grace Bennett Family Trust. Lydia was the sole beneficiary. Preston would become co-manager after the wedding. My name did not appear as beneficiary, co-manager, creditor, advisor, or even emergency contact. I was not being left out by accident. I was being erased cleanly, professionally, and with legal formatting. At the bottom of the email chain, my mother had written to the attorney, "Please do not include Nora in the final signing meeting. She gets emotional about money. Lydia and Preston are the future of the venue." I sat there staring at those words until the letters blurred. Emotional about money. The same money that had paid their commercial insurance. The same money that had covered the tax lien they hid from Lydia. The same money that paid for new flooring after Lydia booked an outdoor wedding during hurricane season and forgot to buy event insurance. That evening, my mother called me. Her voice had that bright, fake sweetness she used when she wanted something. "Nora, honey, we need you at the venue tomorrow at 4. Just a little family meeting." "What kind of meeting?" I asked. "Oh, don't start interrogating me," she said. "Just come. Wear something decent. Preston's parents may stop by." The next day, I arrived at Magnolia Creek in a navy dress and low heels, carrying a folder with printed copies of every payment I had made over the last 7 years. I didn't know yet what I was going to do with it. I just knew I wanted proof close to my body, like armor. My parents were waiting in the main reception hall beneath the chandelier I had paid to have rewired after sparks fell during a rehearsal dinner. Lydia sat beside Preston at one of the farmhouse tables, wearing a cream sweater and a diamond ring that was slightly too large for her hand. Preston had one arm around her chair like he was already posing for a magazine cover. Paul Whitaker, the attorney, sat at the head of the table with a leather portfolio in front of him. He looked uncomfortable the moment I walked in. My father cleared his throat. "Nora, we wanted to have a transparent conversation before Lydia's wedding weekend." Transparent. That word almost made me laugh. My mother smiled tightly. "Your father and I are updating our estate plan. We're getting older and Magnolia Creek needs a clear future." I looked at Lydia. She looked away. Paul opened the folder and explained, carefully, that my parents planned to transfer the venue into a trust for Lydia because she was aligned with the heart of the business. Preston would help expand it into luxury weekend retreats. My parents would remain involved as advisors. I would not be included because, according to my father, I had chosen a separate professional path. I waited until Paul finished. Then I asked, "Who paid the property taxes in 2019? My mother blinked. "That's not really relevant." "Who paid the insurance after the fire marshal threatened to suspend the occupancy permit in 2020? Dad shifted in his chair. "Nora, don't make this ugly. Who paid the business loan for 8 months when the venue account was overdrawn?" Preston gave a little laugh. "I think we're getting off track." I turned to him. "You're sitting under lights I paid to repair, in a building I kept insured, discussing how to inherit a business you couldn't keep open for 30 days without my bank account." "We are exactly on track." Lydia's eyes filled with tears instantly. She was very good at that. "Why are you trying to ruin this for me?" That was always the trick. If I asked for fairness, I was ruining something. If I wanted the truth, I was bitter. If I stopped paying, I was selfish. My mother reached across the table and patted Lydia's hand. "This is what we were afraid of. Nora, you make everything about transactions. Lydia understands family." I looked at my father. "Do you agree with that?" He would not meet my eyes. "Your sister needs stability. You're successful. You have your own life. Lydia and Preston will have children. The venue should go to the daughter who will build a family there." There it was. Softly spoken, neatly packaged, and rotten all the way through. I was useful enough to fund the legacy, but not feminine enough, married enough, or fragile enough to inherit it. I opened my folder and removed one sheet of paper. It was a summary of payments. I slid it across the table to Paul, not to my parents. "Since 2017, I said, I have paid $186,000 toward Magnolia Creek's operating expenses, taxes, insurance, repairs, and debt service. Starting today, I am done." My mother's face hardened. "Don't be dramatic." I picked up my phone and called my bank's business services line. I put it on speaker. When the representative answered, I verified my identity and canceled every automatic payment tied to Magnolia Creek events, Bennett Properties, and my parents' supplemental expense card. I removed my account from the insurance premium draft. I stopped the monthly transfer that covered the commercial loan shortfall. I also froze the emergency credit line my parents had been using whenever Lydia overspent on brand development. My mother stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. "Nora Bennett, hang up that phone." I didn't. My father's voice dropped into that disappointed tone he used when he wanted me to feel 10 years old. You are embarrassing yourself. No, I said, looking straight at him. I'm retiring from a position I never applied for. Preston leaned forward. You can't just sabotage a family business. I smiled at him. Then, it's lucky Lydia owns the future of it. When I left, nobody followed me. They probably thought I would cool off. They thought I would cry in my car, circle the block, come back, apologize, and turn the money back on before anything actually went wrong. That had been my pattern. They knew it well because they had built it. But patterns break when the person holding them finally gets tired. For the first week, nothing happened. Then the venue manager, Denise, called me on her personal phone. Nora, she whispered. I know I'm not supposed to call you anymore, but the insurance company says the renewal payment failed. Your mother told me it was a bank glitch. It wasn't, I said. Denise was quiet. We have Lydia's wedding in 3 weeks. We have 2 paid weddings before that. If coverage lapses, we can't operate. I know. I'm sorry, she said softly. I just thought someone should know the truth. I appreciate you, I told her. Send me anything you receive, but don't put yourself at risk. 2 days later, my mother sent the text about the insurance premium. I answered, Ask the owner. She called immediately. I let it ring. Then my father called. Then Lydia. Then Preston. Then my mother again. By lunch, I had 14 missed calls and 1 voicemail from Lydia sobbing that I was ruining the most important season of her life. That evening, my father showed up at my condo. He didn't buzz politely. He pounded. When I opened the door, he looked past me into my living room, taking inventory of the furniture, the art, the quiet evidence that my life had not collapsed without their approval. You need to fix this, he said. Good evening to you too. This has gone far enough. No, Dad. It has finally gone exactly far enough. He stepped inside without being invited. Your mother is sick over this. Lydia can barely sleep. The insurance has to be paid by Friday or the venue's coverage will lapse. Then Lydia should pay it. You know she doesn't have that kind of liquidity. Interesting. She has enough stability to inherit the venue, but not enough liquidity to insure it. His jaw tightened. You are punishing your sister because you're jealous. That almost worked. Even after everything, that word still found the old bruise. Jealous, bitter, difficult, unmarried, cold. I walked to my desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out the trust amendment. I placed it in his hands. I'm not jealous, I said. I'm literate. He looked at the document, then back at me. How did you get this? Paul's office copied me by mistake. That was private family business. I was private family funding. He tried another angle. Magnolia Creek is more than paperwork. It's your mother's dream. No, it became my monthly bill. He pointed a finger at me. If that venue shuts down before your sister's wedding, everyone will know what you did. I nodded slowly. Good. Then maybe they'll also ask why it only stayed open when I paid for it. He left furious, which meant my mother called Aunt Carol. By Sunday morning, the family campaign had started. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years texted me Bible verses about honoring parents. My aunt sent a long message about how money should never divide blood. One of my mother's friends wrote that Lydia deserved a joyful wedding and that I needed to stop centering myself. I replied to none of them. Then Preston made his mistake. He sent me an email from his real estate office account, probably trying to sound official. He wrote that my interference had created a temporary cash flow issue, but that he and Lydia had secured refinancing using existing family authorization documents, and once the funds cleared, they would remove me from all imaginary claims to the venue. Existing family authorization documents. I read that phrase 3 times. Then I forwarded the email to my attorney, Amanda Lee, and called Denise. I need to ask you something, I said. Did my parents or Preston ever ask you for old files with my signature? Denise hesitated too long. Denise, Preston asked for the old emergency repair authorization from 2021, she said. The one you signed when the storm damaged the roof. He said the lender needed historical proof you had been involved in operations. My blood went cold, but my voice stayed calm. Did you send it? I sent a scanned copy. I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't do anything wrong. That night, Amanda called me back. Nora, she said, I pulled the county filing. There is a new refinancing application pending against Magnolia Creek. Your name appears as a personal guarantor. I closed my eyes. She continued. The signature is electronic. The audit trail shows it was completed from an IP address tied to the venue office last Friday at 9:42 p.m. I was home Friday night. I know, Amanda said. Your building entry logs prove it. Also, the signature appears to have been copied from an older PDF and dropped into the new packet. This is not messy family drama anymore. This is fraud. There it was. The line they had finally crossed in ink. I could have gone straight to the police. I could have called the lender and shut everything down immediately. But brothers and sisters, sometimes moving too fast lets people pretend they were confused. Sometimes you have to let them explain themselves to a room full of witnesses. So I waited. On Monday, Lydia came to my office. Not alone. She brought Preston. My assistant told me they were in the lobby, and I almost laughed. Lydia had never visited my workplace in her life. She used to tell people I did taxes, because explaining forensic accounting required more interest in me than she could spare. They walked into my conference room like they were doing me a favor. Lydia wore a pale pink dress and carried a wedding binder. Preston wore a navy suit and the confident expression of a man who had never been audited by someone smarter than him. Nora, Lydia said softly, we want peace. No, I said. You want coverage. Her eyes flashed, but she recovered. We're family. This has gotten ugly, and I don't want to walk down the aisle with this darkness between us. Preston slid a check across the table. I looked down. $10,000. What is this? A gesture, he said, to show there are no hard feelings. I didn't touch it. He continued. In return, we need you to sign a statement confirming you have no financial claim to Magnolia Creek and that any past payments were voluntary gifts. I leaned back. Anything else? Lydia swallowed. And if the lender calls, just confirm that you agreed to guarantee the refinance. It's only temporary. Once Preston expands the retreat package, we'll pay everything off. I looked at my sister. Not Preston. Lydia, did you know they used my signature? Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Preston jumped in. It was a family document. Your prior authorization established implied consent. I smiled. That is a very expensive sentence to be wrong about. His confidence cracked for half a second. Lydia reached across the table. Nora, please. The wedding is in 12 days. If the refinance doesn't go through, Mom and Dad will be humiliated. Vendors are already paid. Guests are flying in. You don't want to be remembered as the sister who destroyed my wedding. I thought about every time she watched me pay to clean up her mistakes. Every time she accepted my money and then called me up tight behind my back. Every time my mother told me Lydia needed grace while I needed discipline. I pushed the check back. Enjoy your wedding weekend, I said. I wouldn't miss it. They left thinking they had scared me. In a way, they had. Not because I feared them, but because I finally understood there was no bottom to what they felt entitled to take. That afternoon, Amanda and I contacted the lender. Not to kill the refinance. To buy it. The lender was already nervous. The venue had weak cash flow, a pending insurance lapse, and a messy ownership transition. Through a private holding company I used for distressed asset consulting, we offered to purchase the refinancing note and the existing business loan at a premium. It was legal, clean, and fast. By Friday, my holding company controlled both the old debt and the new refinance package. The fraudulent guarantee remained documented, but we did not alert my family yet. They thought the money had cleared because Preston was brilliant. It had cleared because I allowed it. And just like I expected, the moment the funds landed, their spending started. Lydia posted photos of custom floral arches. Preston upgraded the bar package. My mother hired a gospel choir for the ceremony entrance. My father paid for a videographer with drone footage. They replaced the tent, ordered monogrammed cocktail napkins, and arranged a farewell brunch for 150 guests. Then my mother posted a photo of the venue at sunset with the caption, "When God removes jealous people, legacy blooms." I saved the screenshot. The wedding rehearsal took place on a warm Friday evening. I arrived late, wearing a simple black dress, and stood at the back of the barn while the coordinator walked everyone through the ceremony. My mother saw me and stiffened. Lydia looked away. Preston smiled like he had won. After rehearsal, my father gave a toast under the oak trees. He thanked everyone for supporting Lydia and Preston as they prepared to become the new stewards of Magnolia Creek. He said some people were born to build, while others only knew how to count the cost. Several relatives glanced at me. I raised my glass of sweet tea and smiled. The next day, the venue looked beautiful. I'll give Lydia that. White roses climbed the arbor. Candles lined the aisle. The lake shimmered behind rows of gold chairs. Guests arrived in pastel dresses and linen suits, hugging my parents and praising the property. I walked in alone. My mother intercepted me near the welcome table. Her smile was sharp enough to cut ribbon. "I'm surprised you came," she said loudly enough for Aunt Carol to hear. "After all the stress you caused, I thought shame might keep you home." "I wouldn't miss a family milestone." She leaned closer. "Behave today. This is Lydia's day, not another one of your little financial performances." I looked past her at the reception barn. The staff, the flowers, the rented champagne wall, the polished floors I had once paid to replace. "I agree," I said. "Today should be unforgettable." The ceremony began at 5. Lydia walked down the aisle glowing, and for one strange second, I felt sad. Not jealous. Sad. Because I remembered teaching her to ride a bike. I remembered braiding her hair before school. I remembered protecting her from thunderstorms. I had loved her before our parents turned love into a competition. Then she reached Preston, and he winked at me. The sadness disappeared. After the vows, everyone moved into the barn for the reception. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Preston's best man talked about ambition. My mother cried prettily into a lace handkerchief. My father stood for his toast, tapping his glass until the room quieted. "This property," he said, "represents faith, family, and legacy. And tonight, we celebrate the daughter who understood that legacy is not about money. It is about heart." People applauded. He motioned Lydia and Preston forward. "Your mother and I are proud to pass the future of Magnolia Creek into your hands." More applause. Then Preston took the microphone. "I just want to say," he said grinning, "that a lot of people doubted us. Some people thought they could hold this family hostage with spreadsheets and bank transfers, but vision always beats bitterness." A few guests laughed uncomfortably. He continued. "Lydia and I secured our own funding, protected this venue, and proved Magnolia Creek doesn't need anyone who doesn't believe in us." That was my cue. I stood. At first, only my table noticed. Then Aunt Carol saw me. Then my mother. Then my father's smile faltered. I walked slowly to the front, not rushing, not shaking, not angry. Amanda was already waiting near the side entrance with a slim folder in her hand. She joined me halfway across the room. Preston frowned. "This is a private family moment." I took the microphone gently from his hand. "No," I said. "It became a financial matter the moment you put my signature on a loan application." The room went silent. Lydia whispered, "Nora, don't." I looked at her. "You had 12 days to say that to Preston." Amanda handed me the folder. I opened it. "For anyone confused," I said, "I am not here to object to a wedding. I am here as the managing member of Creekstone Recovery Holdings, the company that now owns Magnolia Creek's primary business loan and the refinance note Preston celebrated tonight." Preston went pale. My mother laughed once, too loudly. "That's absurd." "It's recorded with the lender," Amanda said. Her voice was calm and professional. "The transfer finalized yesterday." I held up the first page. "This is the refinance application. My name appears as personal guarantor. This is the electronic signature audit trail. It shows the document was signed from the venue office while I was inside my condo building across town. This is the original storm repair authorization from 2021, where my signature was copied from. The room changed. You could feel it. People stopped looking entertained and started looking uncomfortable. Preston stepped toward me. "You don't know what you're talking about." I turned one page. "This is your email calling it existing family authorization documents. This is Lydia's text to Mom saying, Nora won't fight it if the wedding is too close. This is Mom replying, she always gives in when everyone is watching." My mother's face collapsed. Lydia started crying, but this time no one moved to comfort her. My father's voice trembled with anger. "You would humiliate your family at a wedding?" I looked at him for a long moment. "No, Dad. I learned from you. You taught me to make announcements in front of witnesses." That landed harder than I expected. A few people looked away. Amanda removed another document from the folder and placed it on the gift table beside the champagne glasses. "Because the refinance funds were used for personal wedding expenses and not approved venue operations," she said, "the note is in immediate default. Because the insurance premium was not paid by the legal owners or managers, the venue cannot host events after tonight until coverage is reinstated under new management. Because fraudulent documents were used in the financing packet, we are preserving all rights to pursue civil and criminal remedies." Preston grabbed Lydia's arm. "Don't say anything." Too late. Lydia looked at him, mascara running down her cheeks. "You told me Nora had already agreed." The entire room heard her. My mother sank into a chair. My father whispered, "Nora, please." There it was. The word they had never used when I was paying quietly. Please. I picked up the microphone one last time. "For 7 years, I paid to keep this place standing because I believed it was family. Then my parents transferred it to Lydia and called me emotional about money. Preston used my signature. Lydia stayed silent. My parents helped hide it. So here is my wedding gift. I will not press charges tonight. I will not ruin the ceremony that already happened." But as of Monday morning, Magnolia Creek will be under court-supervised receivership unless the debt, insurance, tax penalties, and fraudulent guarantee are resolved through my attorney. I looked at Lydia. "You wanted the venue. You got it. Now you get the bills too." I handed the microphone back to the stunned DJ and walked out before anyone could decide whether to clap, cry, or chase me. Outside, the air smelled like roses and lake water. I stood beneath the oak trees and let myself breathe. My hands were steady. My heart hurt, but it was not breaking. Breaking is what happens when you still believe people will become who you needed them to be. My phone buzzed before I reached my car. "Mom, how could you do this to us?" I replied, "Ask the owner." Then I blocked her. The aftermath came quickly. Preston's brokerage suspended him after the lender filed a complaint. Lydia moved out of the venue cottage and into my parents' guest room. My father tried to rally relatives against me until Amanda sent a formal notice reminding him that public lies about financial matters could become defamation. Aunt Carol stopped texting Bible verses. Magnolia Creek did not close forever. That surprised people. I did not want to destroy the land. I wanted to remove the parasites from it. 6 months later, through Creekstone Recovery Holdings, I restructured the debt, hired Denise as general manager, reinstated proper insurance, paid the back taxes, and reopened Magnolia Creek under a new name. The Creek House. No family crest, no fake legacy, no speeches about daughters knowing their place. The first event we hosted was not a wedding. It was a free financial literacy weekend for young women aging out of foster care. We taught them how to read contracts, build credit, spot predatory loans, and protect their signatures like their future depended on it. Because it does. Sometimes people think revenge means screaming, exposing, destroying, and walking away while everything burns. But the softest revenge is often the sharpest. It is closing the account, removing the access, keeping the receipts, letting entitled people meet the bills they created. My parents did not lose a daughter because I was cruel. They lost the bank account they had been calling family. And for the first time in my life, I was not the bitter one, the difficult one, or the selfish one. I was free, Sometimes protecting your peace begins with a quiet boundary, not a loud fight. Nora's freedom came when she stopped confusing love with rescue and let truth stand where guilt used to live. Real family should not drain your spirit. It should help you grow stronger, kinder, and more honest. When we value ourselves wisely, we make room for healthier love to find us,